Here's another list of the most reviewed brands on candycritic.org. So you can check it out right now. Go to Candy Critic and you'll see that there's an area for brands. And these are the brands that I've reviewed the most of. So I don't know if they're necessarily the ones that have the most variety, although all of these do have a lot of varieties. The numbers are actually kind of staggering how many varieties or flavors of these particular product I've eaten. We'll start at the bottom. The sort of lowest in the highest category is with 65 is Frito-lay. So that is the sort of brand I've had a lot. A lot of that has to do with Lay's flavors. All over the world they have so many flavors of Lay's, and I'd say probably most of those are different flavors of Lay's that I've tried all over the world. So that's why it puts it pretty high. The next brand is Hershey's. Probably in there too, the Hershey's bar. I've tried a few of those, and they've made a lot of things. I mean, Hershey's is a huge company, huge American company. Strangely enough, there aren't, if I was to have done this by like median score, so what is sort of the highest brand with the highest score, which I might do in the future if I can ever figure out how to do the math on that. If anybody out there is a mathematician and can, please send me a message and tell me how, give me an equation that I can pump something in there. But I'm not a big fan of a lot of Hershey's products, but I try a lot of them because they're all over the place. It's such a wide brand, and when I travel to the States, there's always so much Hershey stuff, and there's a few things that I really like, so it's not that I totally hate it, but just, not everything. The next brand with 77 reviews, so Hershey's had 75, this is 77, is Mars. Now people just think of Mars with Mars bars, but Mars actually makes a lot of things, M&Ms, and just a lot of things. And in Europe, they have a whole line of things that are like huge, and some of my favorite chocolate bars are actually made by Mars, which is interesting. Coming in, and this is a big jump, now at 93 is Cadbury. So I'm a huge fan of Cadbury chocolate. I consider it one of the best sort of mass-produced chocolate bars in the world. Americans, I think, have them now since Kraft bought them. But for the longest time, they weren't really something that was in the US. But all over the world, they make so many different Cadbury products. And I'm one of those guys. I'm a sucker for a Cadbury product. If I see something and it's made by Cadbury, I will give it a try. I've also tried the dairy milk bar in like from so many different parts of the world. And the number one, and it's staggering how many I've done, and that's Nestle. Nestle is a huge brand. Like, you might think of it with Nestle Crunch and only a few bars, but if you look on the back of your candy bars, a lot of them are made by Nestle. Kit Kat. The only Kit Kat bar that isn't made by Nestle is the American Kit Kat bars are made by Hershey's, which is also on this list. But Kit Kat has a huge variety, and Nestle Japan has so many varieties of Kit Kat bars, and I've tried so many of them that really bumped up those numbers. But I feel like even if I subtracted the Kit Kat bars, I think Nestle would still be on top because they just make so much. I know there's sort of controversy about food manufacturing companies, how there's so few of them, and Nestle is definitely one of the big players in that game. But you know what? They actually make some pretty good stuff, so I'm not going to totally complain. And I definitely won't complain because my favorite, the number one candy reviewed, which is a Kit Kat bar, is made by Nestle. So particularly a British one. The British ones are made by Nestle. So that's the list of the brands of candies that I've reviewed the most. Of course, that's why I reviewed the most. That doesn't mean they make the most, but considering I've reviewed close to over 1,700 and I'll be approaching 1,800 reviews, that's got to be a pretty standard number in the world of how many different varieties of candies they make. This also doesn't reflect on how many they sell, because like a Hershey bar may sell more than something else, and therefore maybe Hershey's the numbers are higher than Cadbury or something like that. I don't really know. I'm not privy to that information, but these are definitely the ones I reviewed and the ones I'm always interested in. And generally, Nestle I never search for. Cadbury is probably the only one that I would say if I see a Cadbury thing, I'll do it. But Nestle, whenever I grab a candy, the number of times it says Nestle somewhere on the package is just really high. So thanks for watching this. You can check out all of these brands and check out all the other brands that I've reviewed, as well as all the candies I've reviewed on candycritic.org.